So my name is Amit Bivas. No, I'm not Indian. It's also a Hebrew name. I'm from Tel Aviv, Israel. I'm the Vice President of Global Marketing at Optimove. Optimove is a marketing technology that helps retailers communicate better with their customers by automating all of the CRM process with the existing customers. So the economy, the internet economy in Southeast Asia is booming. It's expected to cross the 100 billion US dollars in 2025, and there's a lot of potential in this market. And what we're seeing is that retail is growing, but there's still a very, very big potential here to grow for existing retailers, medium to large. So as I mentioned, this is a very big market and it's growing very quickly. And in such environments, in such economies, what happens is that the entrance barriers for retailers are lower, meaning that many retailers are starting their businesses and more brands are fighting over the same customer base, meaning that the market is becoming much more competitive. And in such markets that are very competitive, what happens is, again, it's economics 101. So the cost of acquisition will start to rise, and then you would acquire a certain customer for a certain amount of money, but if they don't exhibit repeat business, and if they don't come back to you again and again, post-acquisition, you won't be able to be profitable. So in such competitive markets, there's a very big need into CRM and discussing and creating these types of relationships with your existing customers, assuring repeat business. And once we have repeat business, that's the only way today in such environments to be profitable and continue this growth. So as I mentioned, this is a very competitive market, and in such competitive markets, what's happened is that there are more retailers are competing over the same customers, and then what we see is acquisition costs are climbing. In such environments, we need to make sure that we increase our acquisition budgets, but at the same time, we balance them with strategic investment in retention to make sure that the customers continue to come time and again and create a profitable loop. That's one thing. The second thing we're seeing is that the consumer is evolving. And when I'm saying evolving, I mean that they expect much more than they did probably 5 or 10 years ago. They're expecting a very personalized, distinct, unique type of experience, and retailers must accommodate. Because if they won't accommodate, very quickly the consumers will run away to the competition. We need to make sure that we understand very deeply who our customers are and cater to their unique affinities and needs and wants. And the third trend that we're seeing is multiple channels being accessible by everyone. So mobile is booming in Southeast Asia and generally in the world. And the biggest thing about type of catering to each and every customer is being or communicating with them through the most relevant channel. So we can reach them by mobile, we can reach them by web, we can reach them in the stores, and retailers need to make sure that they unify their communications across all of these channels, which is always a big challenge, and it'll become an even bigger challenge as we continue because, again, the customers are evolving, we're seeing their expectations grow, and if we won't be able to unify the communications across all of the channels and unify the experience, then again, we'll be losing to our competition. So eTail Asia is a very good event because it's focused on the content. Many other events that we've been to and we're seeing aren't necessarily focused on the content and the networking. It's more of vendors trying to meet retailers, and there's a very technical discussion. Here, what we're seeing at eTail Asia, it's a very in-depth type of conversation. We're seeing that when we discuss things amongst ourselves and network, the conversation is much deeper. The retailers would understand the different trends and will try to find solutions for them, whereas in other events we're seeing more of a superficial type of a conversation. So that's a very unique thing about the eTail events globally, by the way, specifically here in Asia, that we're getting a much more in-depth conversations with the practitioners in the market.